Hi, I'm Laura Scott, and today we're going to build a Gourd birdhouse that looks like an acorn. For this, you will need a cannonball gourd, a small piece of dowel with a drill bit that's about the same size as the dowel, epoxy scalp, which is a two-part epoxy clay, acrylic paint, wood stain, or this happens to be a leather dye. I just like using it. Outdoor sealer. Please make sure it's outdoor. You'll need wire and wire cutters, a gourd saw, a drill, and my favorite thing, which is a Dremel. Now, gourds come and they are covered in mold because they dry in the field, and this is what they kind of look like when they come out of the growing field. So you need to clean them both inside and out to make sure all the mold's off. For safety reasons, you need to wear a mask to ensure you're not inhaling the mold spores when you start cleaning it off. Okay, now we're going to clean the gourd. I have updated my things you need. Sorry about that. You need a respirator mask, bleach, water, and a scrubby. So what we're going to do is add bleach to the water and soak the gourd. If the gourd is extremely moldy, you're going to have to let it soak for a little while longer, but this one isn't too bad. So once it soaks for a bit, I'm just going to take my scrubby and start scrubbing all this black off. And we'll get it all cleaned up. It doesn't take very long, but I'm going to put you on pause until I get it clean. Did it do that? No, it started up. Once your gourd is clean, just dry it off, and then we're going to leave it for about 20 minutes to let the outside completely dry before we cut it. Okay, now we're going to take our cannonball gourd and we're going to drill 3 holes. One for the dowel, so it's like a little stem. One that is going to be the hole for the bird to enter, and one in the top for the wire to come through for the hanger. So we'll do that now. I'll do the top one first. Okay, one in the top. The one for the stem is going to go a little bit lower. Right there. And to make sure we have enough room, put one quite a bit higher. Okay, so there you have your holes. Now what I'm going to do is take the, wherever it is, where is it? Oh, there it is. Take my gourd saw, which is this little guy here, and turn it on and cut a circle, or as close to a circle as I can cut. I should have turned it on yet. Make sure you get the right hole. You want the hole, there's the top, you want the top hole to make bigger. Okay, so basically what I've done is make an enlargement. Doesn't look like a very good hole, does it? This is where your Dremel comes in. Because I'm going to take the Dremel with my handy dandy sanding bit and use that to make the hole into a circle. So, get that done. Coming along. Finny. Now, I should have had my mask on to do that, except I can't do that and talk at the same time. So, what you're going to notice is inside your gourd, you are going to have what is called a seed ball. And the nice thing about cannonball gourds is they all kind of come into one big clump in the middle, so there isn't goo on the outside of the walls like other gourds have. So, we might be in luck, and this seed ball is going to break apart beautifully. Yay! Because a lot of times you end up where you can't do that. So this is what's coming out of the gourd. So we want to clear all that out, make sure it's all out. A lot of times with a seed ball like this, you need to either break it up, and if it's really hard, you're going to have to fill it with water and let it soak and break it apart as it soaks out. If you need to do that, then you need to let the gourd fully dry inside before you go any further. Okay, so now we're back at my work table. Here's our cut gourd, and I would suggest you get a little container, something like this, and just sit it in, because it rolls around and this makes it a little bit easier. What we're going to do first is cut some wire and feed it through to make our hanger. So, take your wire, determine about how long you might want this to be. I like mine a little bit longer. Just give it a cut. And then we're going to feed both ends through the hole on the top. So, here's your hole on the top. In we go. Okay, as you feed it through, try and aim to get it to come out the big hole. That one twisted, of course. Come on, you. 1, 2. Okay. Once we have it out, the big hole, we're just going to make some twists to make sure it cannot come out through the hole again. And then that way, it is stable and will not wreck itself. So once you've got your wire twisted about like that, so it's a little round kind of circle, we're going to pull it back through till it's tight, and then we're going to twist the whole thing. I need my pliers to do this, makes it easier. So we want to make a loop on the top as the hanger, and then we're going to twist and twist and twist. Except I need another set of pliers. Okay, I couldn't find my pliers, so I got a pair of vice grips, and we're just going to keep twisting until we get a nice twist on the whole thing. Okay, so what you have is a twist with a loop on the top. That's where you're going to hang, and this is just a nice twist all the way down. Okay, Generally, I add something here, but since we're going to be using epoxy sculpt, this will hold in just nicely. So, I take this, I'm going to put it back in my container. Maybe I can lower this a bit. Okay. Now we're going to take our epoxy sculpt. It's a two-part system, so you have one that's lighter and one that's a bit darker, but it's harder to get out. Ah! It's a little bit thicker. Okay, so what you need to do is make sure you have equal parts of the epoxy sculpt because it won't work if you don't. So make sure you've got two balls exactly the same. And if you have a little bit more of one, take some off. Those look approximately the same. Oh, this one's a bit bigger. Hold on, take a little bit of that off. Okay, now we're good. So now we're going to take these and we're going to knead them together. And this takes several minutes. So I'm going to pause again and I'll come back when it's kneaded together. Okay, now that we're done kneading our epoxy sculpt, it should all be one color. So you see no lines going through it. It's all uniform. So we're going to start by making the roof. So take small pieces, and that's too much. Small pieces about that big, and we're going to flatten them. And then we're going to start making a circle. That's a bit much. Hold on. There we go. Because what we're doing is starting to make the acorn shape. So we're going to do this all the way around in a circle, then on top of it again. I'm just going to keep going around. Round and around we go. The nice thing about epoxy sculpt is that there's obviously epoxy in it, and it sticks. I tried doing this the first time with just regular clay. Got it all done. It looked beautiful, and it immediately cracked. So I was really not happy. Anyway, I did it with epoxy sculpt, and it is as hard as a rock and will not crack and break. So I'm going to keep going around and do my circle, and I'll get back. Okay, now that the first row is completed, we are going to go and start on a second row, putting the next row in between the ones on the first row. And we're going to go straight around doing that. And once that's done, I'll start up again. Okay, now it's time to start on row 3. And we're going to keep doing it in the middle all the way to just before the top. Before we do the last row, we're going to make a stem. So I'll be back. Okay, just before we get to the last couple rows, we're going to take our epoxy sculpt and kind of make a stem. Just as part of this, it helps keep the wiggling down and holds everything in place. So just take your epoxy sculpt and wrap it around the wire, push some through the hole, it's all good, push it in, make it really stick. Now form it, and depending on how you want your stem to look, it does not have to go all the way up the stick. So form it the way you like it. If you want a little curve on the end, it's all good. But just make it go around part of the stem. Okay? And now we're going to finish off the rest of the roof. Okay, top should look something like this. So it's all the way to the top, just like an acorn. Now what we're going to do is, for this hole here, we're going to take our dowel. We're going to wrap a little bit of epoxy sculpt around it, just kind of in a circle, like this. If your fingers get too sticky, just dip them in a little water, and off you go. Take this, stick it in the hole. then push the epoxy sculpt around just till you get it so you like the way it looks. Any excess you can take off with water or a scraper. So we'll get that excess off. And just so now I got to add in something else, like a little tool to scrape off the excess. You can just go around and pull it away until you get it the way you like it. And if there's any lumps or bumps, just put a little water on your fingers and smooth them out like this. Ta-da! There's a little bird stand. You can make it shorter or longer depending on what you like. Then just wipe off the excess. Look at that. Nice and clean. Now, excuse me, I also like to put something around the opening, just so it has a little bit more stability. So I again take some epoxy sculpt and I guess make a door frame. So I just put it around and make it a design if I want, or just leave it a circle. Just it adds something else to paint, to add a little more color to everything we're doing. So we go around, push it through, knead it together until you get the shape that you want. You can make it like a little point out or flat or whatever you'd like. And play with it until you get the look that you like. Again, any excess you can just scooch off until you get the look. So, basically, this one's taking a little longer. You end up with a door jamb on your Acorn Birdhouse. Okay, I have done cleaning off what I didn't like. It's smooth. There's a couple more areas that I might want to poke at and clean a bit. But basically, the Acorn Birdhouse is done. It needs to now dry. It will take about 8 hours for the epoxy sculpt to harden. It will harden like a rock. And it is very durable, weather resistant. That's the beauty of this. So once that's done, paint this as you like. Stain the outside with either a normal stain or leather dye. There are special stains that you can get for gourds, which you can order online. But I use what's ever handy. So once you've painted it the colors that you like, browns, remember it's an acorn, you can also put other embellishments on it if you wanted to put a little decoration over here with the epoxy sculpt, whatever. And then make sure you use an outdoor sealer to coat the whole thing to make sure it lasts. I don't know about you, but we live in Ottawa and we have some bizarre weather up here. So once that's done, let it dry and then it's ready to go. I also suggest that if you want your item to last for years to come, at the beginning of every season, clean it off. If there's any chipping, fix it, and then give it another spray. Nothing lasts forever, but you can extend the life of things that are outside with some varathane, varnish, clear coat, whatever you want to use. Just make sure it's for outside. Thank you for watching my video. This was my first one. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you the next time I do this. Bye.